What's going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. So, we just got done with our live stream here, and the Colts have lost another game. They are now starting this season 1-2-1 after failing to secure any wins against the AFC South. We have now gone 4 games into the season, had 3 AFC South opponents, and all 3 of those games we failed to win any of them. Cody, we saw some changes throughout, the weeks into this season. The Colts made a change at kicker because of accountability. They benched Danny Pinter because of poor play. Will Fries got his first start of the season. I mean, we're seeing this team still fail to win games. I mean, it seems obviously a lot of people are going to say we're being too premature, but I think it might be time that we start seeing some staff changes at some point.
Well, the thing is, Derek, I look at this and I'm trying to look at it objectively, and it's like, well, the team, they showed in this game that they're better than the Titans when they want to be, but when they don't want to be, they're not, So like you look at all the drives the Colts had that, where they were driving, and then they just do something stupid. They fumble the football, or they don't convert, or just some stupid unenforced penalty that puts you in 3rd and long. And it's just at this point, man, like you shouldn't have been down. Number one, you shouldn't have been down all that, in the first half. This team got utterly decimated in the first half. You're down 24-10, I believe it was. So there's no reason why, you even had to make that comeback. And unfortunately, obviously you didn't do it. So I just don't know anymore, man. It's been a common trend with this team, throughout the Frank Reich regime, especially it appears the last couple years. This team just doesn't have accountability when it matters, man. Like when you need them to go down and do it, like they didn't do it, again. And they had plenty of opportunities. I mean, the defense kept you in that game, like 3-4 straight drives, and your offense just did nothing with it. And at some point, man, when are we just gonna like close the door on that narrative that Frank Reich is an offensive genius? Because I don't see it. His offenses have been completely terrible this year. When it matters in the red zone, just awful. It's just to the point, man, where it looks like players are just not holding each other accountable again. And at the end of the day, they've changed other coaches. They've changed players throughout the years, but what has been the consistent issue? And it has been Frank Reich. Consistently, Frank Reich had not had this team prepared when it matters. And here we are again, man, starting out slow, 0-3, or I guess, what is it? 0-2-1 in the division, winless in the division. There's no shot this team wins the AFC South at this point with how bad they're playing. No shot. Like they're playing horrible. This team is playing terrible. And the bad thing is, Derek, the frustrating thing, this team realistically should be a 3-win team right now. They should be. But look how bad they've played when it matters in the crunch time. They can move the ball all they want, but at the end of the day, if you come out and you don't play in the first half, every single week this team has not played in the first half, except maybe last week, like you're not
even then, no.
A good
even
team.
Then, no. They scored 10 points, but
offensively,
they came because they were at the 4-yard line to start that drive.
Yeah, it's just I just don't know what to do. It's almost you almost laugh at the just terribleness of this team. It's almost to the point where it's a comedy at this point. It's like you just don't trust that this team will go down and score when it matters. And that's an issue. And it's funny, people say we overreacted, but like I don't think we're overreacting anymore. This is less of a one-off thing and more of a trend now. And that's scary. That should be scary. So at this point, man, I don't know what the solution is beyond what you said, but that's bad, man. And I feel bad for that defense in that second half because they balled out, man. When it mattered, they gave that offense so many chances. But I honestly think the Colts have one of the worst offenses in the league right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what – I mean, it's the same thing every year, right? Like teams they start really bad in the first half. Now, I mean, that's weird because I mentioned this last year. Indianapolis last year, the majority of the time scored on their first possession of every single game last year. Every single game, almost every game last year, they scored on their first drive, whether it be a touchdown or a field goal. I think they said actually 75% of the time throughout the season, they scored on their opening drive. So this offense is not what Frank Reich used to have problems with. This team is like one of the worst offensive teams we have seen from Indianapolis in a long, long time. You might have to go back to like
2017,
yeah,
I would say.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, there's a couple of individual performances over the last 20 years. Like, you talk about the 2011 season, even this 2017 season, that offense could still score more than 17 points a game on average most of the time. So, I mean, this is bad. This is bad, 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 bad. Like, they can't run the football. Matt Ryan looks atrocious in the first half of every game. The offensive line can't block in the first half of every game. And then in the second half, when you start getting that momentum, they fall apart. I mean, you looked at it just at the end of that game. They had everything going for them. And what happens? Miss one blocking assignment, and then that's it, game. Because they couldn't protect Matt Ryan for one more damn play. So,
yeah,
I mean, it's very, very irritating. It's obvious that, this team, there needs to be a change on one side of the ball, for sure.
You know what's frustrating too, Derek? I feel like all outside of the running game, obviously, like I felt like all the skilled positions, tight end, wide receiver, they all played well in this game.
Yes. Isn't it insanely odd that like the receiving and tight end positions all played fantastic today? This is what we wanted them to look like. This tight end group played phenomenal today. Molly Cox, 6 catches for 85 yards, 2 touchdowns. The best game he's ever played. Kylan Granson had his best game ever as a pro. Jelani Woods only had 1 catch, but it was for 33 yards. I mean, it moved the chains. Jelani wasn't getting involved in the end of the game, and I don't know why. But the tight end group was flawless in this game. And then on top of it, Alec Pierce, 4 catches for 80 yards. Fantastic. Paris Campbell, 4 catches for 43 yards. He would have had more. He only had 5 yards on his last 2 catches because for some reason they wanted to keep running those damn screens, and it didn't work throughout the rest of the game. Paris Campbell played well. Michael Pittman had 3 catches through the first 20 minutes of the game, Cody, and never got used after. And he couldn't make catches in the red zone. Again, the timing or whatever it was, this team, it's the same thing every time. Red zone, they have never been good in the red zone under Frank Reich. Never. They have never been good at making touchdowns under Frank Reich and in the red zone. And in the second half, you see a completely different ball team than what you do in the first half. Why can we not play a full 60 minutes of football? And at the end of the day, in the second half, your defense shut out the Titans, man, and you only scored 7 points on your first drive. On your first drive, not executing, not calling good plays, not figuring it out. I don't understand how you scored a touchdown and then through the final 23 minutes of that game, you did not score once. I don't understand.
It comes back again. And this has been an issue I've had with Frank Reich coach teams, even when the Colts were making the playoffs. They would shoot themselves in the foot when it matters. And to me, that is poor coaching. That is clearly poor coaching at this point because the talent, while it be, we've had issues with, Chris Ballard's approach. I agree. I think he definitely deserves to be held accountable here, but more so it's like this team isn't bad. Like the talent is there for this team.
Yes.
It's so frustrating because it's like, how do you not score? How do you score only 7 points in the second half despite having Matt Ryan throw for over 300 yards? Your receivers and tight ends all play well. It doesn't make any sense. It's just those unforced errors. And at the end of the day, obviously the players have to execute, but the coaches have to get them prepared, man. They're not prepared when it matters. This team pees down its leg every single opportunity they have to go and do something. And for me, Derek, you know how they talk all about, the great teams, how the great teams do the little things well. The Colts are not a great team because they do the little things poorly.
Yes.
And that's coaching. That's coaching. The culture that Frank Reich has set, there's no accountability when it matters, man. And it's fine. Like if you do all this crap, if you mess up, it's fine. You're going to get a pat on the helmet. You're fine. No, they need somebody that's going to get after them, man. And Frank Reich, I'm sorry. I have tried to have grace with this guy for years and years and years, but the same issues arise. Sometimes I think we've even swept it under the rug because the team has been okay, right? They've been playoff contenders, but it started in Jacksonville last year and it's continuing into this season. And you cannot have a winning football team. You cannot hope to win the division until this guy is out of here. I am sorry, but it is time to move on from this regime, especially the head coach, because the softness of this head coach is now echoing into this team, like even more than it has before. And it's scary, man. It is scary.
What's going on, everybody? Today, I want to talk to you about our sponsor, BetStamp. Now, I know what you're thinking. Derek, another betting app? What is so different about this one now? Well, I got to tell you guys, I'm not into online gambling a whole lot and bets online and everything, but I got to tell you, BetStamp is one of the coolest things I have ever seen in regards to betting online. The great thing about BetStamp is it allows you to see all the different odds from all different sports books and see which one provides you the best odds possible for any game or scenario you want to bet on for your pick versus some of the worst. BetStamp allows you to also buy and sell picks that you have without worrying about losing your money or having any issues with it. Believe me, it's all free. I mean, look at this, guys. You have an option for every game across all different kinds of leagues in a ton of different ways. You have baseball, you have college football, UFC, NBA, and NFL. Great for the NFL season now being here. And if I wanted to bet on this Tennessee Titans versus Buffalo Bills game, it shows me in real time what are the best odds, which sports book I'm going to get the best offer from versus some of the worst ones. Because why would you want to earn less money from PointsBet when you could be winning more from ProLine Plus? Again, a great thing that BetStamp offers you, allowing you to make more money for the same pick just with a different sports book. How easy is that? And the great thing is there's not just games. There's player props. There's game props. There's lines. There's live tracking. There's a ton of great ways to make bets and picks on BetStamp, guys. Totally a cool thing to use. I highly encourage you check it out if you're into any kind of online betting. Even if you're not, give it a check. See what you like about it, because I think I actually enjoy using it. But the best way to get an edge on online sports betting is having multiple accounts at different sports books. Be sure to hit the BetLink page, betstamp.app/onboarding. Be sure to check out the BetStamp app or online, and be sure to use the referral code JUICE, plug in your state, and you'll get access to all their affiliates and their prices once you open it up, seeing all states' lines. Be sure to check this out, guys. You won't want to miss it for the best odds on your next sports bet. And, at the end of the day, Chris Ballard has to take some blame for this as well.
Absolutely.
And Matt Ryan finished the day 27 of 37 for 356 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interception. But did it really feel like that though? Did it really feel like he threw for 350 yards? It really didn't. The first half, he looked like he couldn't throw a football to begin with. And in the offensive, so I'm going to just say a couple things right off the bat. We may end up extending on a few of these videos ideas, but I'll say this. We need to get a quarterback, a real quarterback, a franchise quarterback, not a 37-year-old that's on the tail end of his career. That has to stop. That can't change. If Ballard is still here by the end of the season, this is what needs to happen. Quarterback, and you need to invest in some new pieces on this offensive line, because his offensive line is atrocious. Matt Pryor's not cutting it at left tackle. Ryan Kelly's not cutting it at center. Your right guard situation is a mess. There's a lot of issues there right now. And
every single position. It's weird.
yeah,
Maybe left guard, but Quentin Nelson didn't look great today. So
Quentin Nelson did not look great. He had one really bad play, but at the end of the day, I mean, this offensive line's getting no push on on anyone. They had 150 yards against the Texans, but everyone's doing that against the Texans. The Bears are doing that against the Texans. They did it better against the Texans than we did. We have not been able to push anyone on the defense that offensive line since the Texans game. And it's going to be the downfall of this team. It's going to be the downfall of this team if we cannot run the football, because the reason that the Titans won this game is because Ryan Tannehill only had to throw the ball 21 times because your running back is averaging 5 yards a carry in this game. That's why they won. Because at the end of the day, Derrick Henry in the first half was getting anything he wanted. He was getting almost 9 yards a carry in the first half. Like, it's ridiculous how, like, so effective the Titans did it. That's what the Colts want to be, but yet the Colts can't be that because they can't execute it like that. They say they want to be like that, but they can't do it because they don't execute it. So, at the end of the day, I think we pretty much ran through the majority of it. So Matt Ryan, gave us a chance to win there, but still looked terrible in the first half. Didn't make plays when it mattered in the second half. Jonathan Taylor, no chance for him to do anything because there was no room for him to run at all. No chance at all for him. And, I mean, the receiving core, congratulations to the receiving core. I mean, seriously. Michael Pittman, your number one wide receiver, was your sixth leading receiver in this game. I mean, it's pretty fantastic that so many other guys really stepped up and made some big, big plays.
Absolutely. And I think the encouraging thing is here, Derek, if there is a silver lining, is there's a lot of guys that are showing out right now, young wide receivers and young tight ends that are showing out. So that is, I guess, encouraging. If there is an encouraging thing, is like, okay, like I feel, I don't know about you, but like the last 2 weeks, I feel a lot better about the receiving core, like the tight ends and wide receivers than I did, say, week 1 in the preseason and stuff like that. So I guess if there is something to be positive about, it is that. Like, whoever takes over, next year, if it's which I think might be a new regime, if things keep continuing, at least they'll have some talented guys like the Kylan Gransons, the Jelani Woods, the Alec Pierces, the Michael Pittmans. So, like, this receiving core is actually, I think if Ballard was right on one thing, I think it was probably good that he's stuck with this receiving core, because the last 2 weeks, they've really shown out to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're right. I mean, there's really not much you can say about anything bad about this receiving core. I mean, everybody really stepped up. It's a travesty that, Pittman only had 3 catches for 31 yards, but I mean, it was fantastic to see the tight ends all step up in a big way. Alec Pierce and Paris Campbell both had good days. So at the end of the day, I mean, it is what it is, but I mean, Hines only having the ball in his hands 3 times today also is kind of a severe letdown.
Yeah, you didn't use it until the second half. What's the deal with that, man? Frank
again,
Reich
play calling. Play
Yeah.
calling and understanding your situation, right?
It's just weird.
That's what it is. I mean, it's understanding your situation, and obviously the Colts offense of coaching staff is not getting it. I will say this, and I don't want to dog on a man while he's down, and I don't know if it was because he got hurt on that play, but Jonathan Taylor, man, can't fumble that football there.
No,
I mean, that killed the drive. That was the drive that you were thinking was going to get you the chance to tie that game right there. And I think it was probably because he twisted an ankle or something on that play and just in pain, just let go of the football. I'm not sure. You can't fumble that football, man. You can't fumble that. And of course, again, Matt Ryan as well, fumbling the ball twice in this freaking game. Dude, you're in the league for 15 years. How is this now just becoming an issue? Why? Why can you not secure a snap? And why can you not protect the football? That's what we thought you never had that issue before. And now all
Yeah,
of a sudden he can't hold on to the football anywhere. Like,
absolutely.
it's sad. And that's
It's
why you need a
bad.
that's why you need a young quarterback to come in here and do something.
But at the same time, like when Matt Ryan got proper protection, he could cook, man. He could deliver it when
Yeah.
he gets proper protection. But the issue is when he got sacked, he couldn't hold on. He wouldn't hold on to the ball, like you said. 2 fumbles, lost one of them, and then obviously the interception. So potentially 3 turnovers Matt Ryan would have had today. Fortunately for the Colts, only had 2. But yeah, I mean, it's an issue, man. It's definitely something that it's just like but regardless of if you get a franchise quarterback, which I think has to be a must at this point next year, like you can't keep band-aiding over the position like you've done, and you can't be scared to take a chance because you're going to end up in this situation, where, I do sometimes wonder, and maybe I'm just crazy here, Derek, but I do wonder, like, for these, starts that are poor, is it just the fact that the Colts have a new starting quarterback every single year? That's not obviously all the issues, but is that an issue, like, because you have a new signal caller every year, things are going to be different about your offense every single year. So it's going to take them time. Now, I do think there's other issues even more this year than there have been in the past. But like, just get a franchise guy in there that you roll with, man. I don't think he can do any worse at this point. Obviously Matt Ryan, I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I just, I think he's got to obviously shore up the fumbles, and then obviously you got to protect him better. But I wouldn't be mad. You have him for 2 years. Why not draft a quarterback this year and kind of let him sit behind Ryan? And if Ryan's struggling next year, you play that guy. I don't really have an issue with that because, I mean, you are locked in, or maybe you trade Ryan and get some sort of value. I don't know. But the one thing is obvious. This team is not executing when they need to execute. They've brought in all these veteran guys, but nothing is changing, Derek. It's the same old with this team. It's so Colts at this point. It's just so predictable. And that's unfortunate. I hate that it's so predictable, but this team does it to themselves. And then that has been the one thing about the Frank Reich era. There's a lot of things I can't stand, but the main thing I can't stand is I can predict what this team is going to do anymore. And I don't want to do that. I want this team to surprise me, but I'm not surprised anymore because they just keep doing this,
Yeah. It's like we all see it. We all see it. And I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, Colts are the only team in the NFL that have not scored more than 20 points this season. And
Jeez.
I mean, it's this offense is atrocious. And because of that, the Colts after this weekend are going to be in the top 10 in the drafting order to start the season out. They're at number 13 right now, but you have 4 or 5 games that could determine if any of those teams get wins. They're going to probably be in the top 8 in the drafting order right now. And that's atrocious. You thought this team was going to be a playoff team, and sure enough, this team has not met any expectations. I mean, if there's one other silver lining to this, Cody, I mean, it sucks that the defense, plays only one half of football as well. But at least the one good thing about it is that when their defense actually plays one half of football, they dominate in that one half of football. At least they give their team a shot, and the offense just can't take care of it.
See, I just wonder if it's like, we talk about the coaching, how it's holding this team back. I truly believe that at this point, because you see the seeps of talent that come out in this team, right? You see the offense, looking really, really good in the passing department. You see them run the ball effectively sometimes, right? You see the defense play elite sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's just like you see it in spurts. It's almost like the talent is almost trying to like cover up for the ineptitude, I think, in the coaching staff. And, just ultimately can't do it, at this point. And it's just hard to say what's next because it's like, you don't want this team to quit, but like at this point, I just don't know, man, because you've just continued to shoot yourselves in the foot. This has been a trend. It's like, I want this team to compete, but also if this has just been a trend now, it's like, I want this trend to stop and almost hit the reset button and restart with this team. Like, and at this point, I think you can do that. Like, I think you can. You still have some guys that are, in their 20s, mid to late 20s. So I still think that is achievable here. I do think you're going to have to move on from a few guys for sure. But the thing is, I don't think that the Colts are not a talented team. I think they have talent. I do. I just think they're not being properly developed or properly coached. And I think that's it. I really do.
And I guess a few shout outs you can give to some of these defensive players. I mean, Grover Stewart definitely did his damnedest to try to disrupt some things. Shout out to some of the guys who got sacks. Grover Stewart had one. Kwity Paye had one. Dio Dangbo came in late in that game and started creating havoc for the team. Uh, I mean, and it sucks because it's like DeForest Buckner, was playing hurt, and he obviously was not fully right for that game. So that certainly didn't help things. So DeForest Buckner actually didn't even log in a stat. Like, he had a pressure, but he never even logged in a stat in this game. And Yannick Ngakoue had one tackle. That's it. Nothing. And of course, Shaquille Leonard coming back and then Zaire Franklin hitting him and giving him a concussion. That didn't help things at all. So,
No.
This team was playing on injury reserve, like, from the beginning. It sucks, man, because, like, geez, if we don't give up that many points to start the game, and you know what? Unfortunately, they were dealt the short end of the stick to start that game due to the fact that they were placed at the 30-yard line to start the game because Matt Ryan fumbles the freaking football. So how many times has this Colts offense? I can only imagine this Colts defense getting a ton better if the offense didn't get off the field so dang quickly and never scored points. It's got to be so demoralizing as a defensive player to know that your team just never scores enough points to catch you up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the defense, to their credit, they came back in that second half and they played great. Like you said, they shut out the Titans. Like, they gave the Colts every chance that they needed. I don't even really fault the defense for that first score because, yeah, you're right. You gave them at the ball at the 30-yard line. It's just the defense wasn't obviously great because they did allow 24 points and everything, but still, like, the offense did them zero favors at all. And the defense stepped up when needed. And the defense was not the issue in this game, especially in the second half. So, yeah, it's bad, man. It's really bad at this point.
So,
and
Naheem Hines commented saying it's been the offense. The defense has done its job. The offense is what's wrong with this team. Literally, Kiefer just said that. Said, honestly, I think it's been the offense. The defense has done its job.
Well, yeah.
I mean, there you go. Like, that's it. I mean, blame everything on the offense. What is going on with this offense that is so bad? Everything, apparently.
That's 100% true. But, how much of that is the offensive coaching staff as well, So it's just weird because you hired a guy like Frank Reich to be this offensive guru. That's what people said, right? And your offense, outside of really the 1 year with Andrew Luck, has really not ever been that great, all things considered. So it's just weird. And I'm kind of at a loss for words if you can't tell, because it's just like, how does this team go out and beat the Chiefs and then just give this game away to the Titans?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've just given up trying to figure out this team.
I just tweeted saying it's sad that we're 4 weeks into the season and I'm already thinking of draft order. I hate it here.
Yes. And you know what? It's funny. I was like, this is literally like purgatory because, like, the Colts offense goes down and drives. And you're like, oh, they're looking good. And then they just completely, like, self-destruct. It's like, you have these glimpses of, oh, this team could be really good. This offense could be really good. And then they just self-destruct. You're like, I just hate it here. Like, this is so dumb.
It's so dumb. This team should not be 1-2-1 through the first 4 weeks of the season when you had the Texans, the Jaguars, the Chiefs, and the Tennessee Titans. Right now, you should be 2-2. You should be 2-2. At the bare minimum, at least then we would be sitting here, and I think it'd feel a tad bit different in a way. At least if you had beaten the Texans, you had beaten the Chiefs, like, you would at least be in the middle, almost in the middle of the pack when it comes to NFL teams, and there's still a chance for you. But Yeah, this is atrocious. And don't worry, guys, we'll come up with some more videos to talk about. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this team and what videos you guys want us to discuss. We'll talk about coaches, we'll talk about players, we'll talk about draft order, who to get, things like that at this point. At this point, I think it's time we already have that discussion. But that's going to do it for this one.
One more point I have before we go. This is now, how many years has Frank Reich been the coach?
5 years.
2018. Okay. 3 out of 5 years through the first quarter of the season, the Colts have a losing record under Frank Reich.
And let me guess, one of the other, you said through week 5 they've had a losing record.
So like the first 4 weeks that we've just like, this is week 4, right? So,
and then I'm guessing one of those years they went 2-2.
Well, I don't know. I don't remember. The one year in 2019, I think they were actually decent. They were probably around there. I don't remember offhand, but you know the 3 years, right? 2018, Colts were 1-5.
Yep.
Last year, the Colts were, I don't even remember the record. I know they had a losing record. They were like 2-4 or something like that, coming into 4 weeks. I don't remember what their record was, but it was a losing record. And then obviously this year, same deal. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Well, we'll be sure to figure this out a little bit more, guys, as we go along. But thank you guys again so much for tuning in. We hope that you enjoy. We really appreciate your support. And as always, guys, go Colts.